2 years ago, Harman, known for making black and white films, released a brand new from scratch color film, Phoenix. Now, a few years later, they are back with Phoenix 2. But is it the same? Is it any good? I guess that's what we're here in Canada to find out. So, let's go shoot it. Boom. That was a great take. So, Canada, eh? Me and the photo gang planned a trip up to Banff National Park a while ago. So when the Harman homies hit me up about their next iteration of Phoenix, I figured what better place to test this brand new Banff badass new film. So today we're gonna put Phoenix 2 to the test, so you know exactly what to expect. And we're gonna answer a few key questions. How does it look? How is it different? And how does it perform? And first up, let's pit Generation 1 against this new Generation 2 of Phoenix and see what's changed.
When I shot the original Phoenix, I rated it at like 160. So that's what I'm gonna do for these two 120 backs. I'm gonna rate it at 160 as well. Yeah, and 125 for the Phoenix in 35, just because I feel like giving it a little bit more light might be a good thing.
Holy Wayne Gretzky, the new packaging is blue, and I'm here for it. You know you won't mistake it for the original, that's for sure. Got some Phoenix 2 in my Ricoh. And I will also be tossing in the ever so occasional 35mm Phoenix shot with my Ricoh R1s point and shoot. Those will give you a good baseline on what this film is capable of when all control is given up. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. The original Phoenix was a hard pill for some to swallow, specifically because of the way that Phoenix is usually lab scanned. Little exposure latitude, contrast for days, and those experimental tones. See, Phoenix is a modern film for a modern day technology. That means that you don't really want to rely on ancient dying tech to get your Phoenix looking the way you might want it to. So in this episode, all the negatives were scanned with my own mirrorless setup, and with these first comparisons specifically, all the settings were the exact same and no color corrections were added. Basically, anytime you see Phoenix results from me, they are always scanned using a mirrorless setup. I don't rely on any frontiers or Newitzus. Okay, so as far as we can see so far in glorious medium format, Generation 1 and 2 don't really exhibit crazy differences at first glance. However, in this landscape image, you can see one thing is for sure. The dynamic range has been improved in the new Phoenix 2. As you can see, there is more cloud detail, and having that extra highlight detail is pretty great.
Another angel.
What does angel mean?
If it's all white in the middle, it's angel. If there's like dark, moldy spots, it's devil.
Oh, but who's the devil and who's the angel?
Well, if you blow it and you get it all like this, nice and clean, then it's angel. I'm the angel.
Oh. Can confirm. Now, Harman sent along some documentation with these rolls, and they still state in that letter that this is an experimental film. I think that might have a lot to do, in my opinion, with them trying to let film shooters know that this isn't a pro-level film, and you shouldn't expect those results, and still has very quirky colors, which is fine by me. Now, after the gang checked in and picked their beds, we needed to head back out and slice some more lovely bangers, even though the light wasn't quite cooperating with us. us yet. Hey. Which would actually be a running theme of this entire trip, unfortunately. This town of Field was a fun little mountain town with lovely lush greens, which Phoenix loves to gobble up and make look yummy. This photo of the train is quite awesome. I really like the greens in both Generation 1 and Generation 2, even though they are slightly different. And as you can see, the halation is quite similar between the two. Harman says that the film's still experimental, which in their terms just means expect some weird, but lovingly weird. You've got the halations, and you got those funky tones, depending on how you scan. And as before, there is no orange color mask. Bow! That's gonna be a good shot. It's gonna be good for colors, tones. Boom. I like this one specifically because the light is pretty subtle. However, this photo of the house is actually quite different, even though the light was subtle, as I was saying. Generation 1 is quite underexposed, as where Generation 2 is exposed well. I was letting the camera do all the work for me, so maybe the shutter speed was a little different, but I kind of doubt it. And even so, it would probably just be like a stop or two, which isn't really good for Phoenix 1. But I must say that the colors from Generation 1 are a little bit more pleasing without a little bit of color correction. The next day, the sun would decide to peek its head out, but just briefly, for us to get out there and strut our Phoenix feathers. But it's here where I feel like I noticed the biggest differences between the films, for better or for worse. For these shots, you can really tell that there's a blue/magenta cast to the shadows from our Generation 2 of Phoenix. Personally, not my favorite color to introduce to the shadows when you're not doing any color correction, especially compared to the negatives. They're pretty similar, but maybe Phoenix 2 is a touch darker, at least here. But making our way back to the car, I did get this shot of the boot wizard. And that is really where you see Generation 2 of Phoenix shine. Okay, so that boot wizard is gonna be really good because there was direct sunlight on a white vehicle and then there was a hardcore shade. So there's a high contrast ratio there. So that will definitely tell you between Phoenix 1 and Phoenix 2 how that contrast works between the two stocks. There's my friends. You can tell that there's definitely more shadow detail in the darkest parts of the boots. And there's actually a little bit more perceived detail or sharpness overall in that new Phoenix. That's a giant win in my book. Harman also states that Phoenix 2 is a completely new emulsion from Generation 1, and improvements have been made across the board, but still maintaining the spirit of the original bird. Later that day, the gang wanted to see a lake. So we hip-hop and scotched our way to Emerald Lake, where the water was blue and it started raining, which would actually just foreshadow my disappointment. Oh, okay. I hit the wrong button. I hit the back. Oh no, I just flashed how many ever frames. How many? I don't know. Well, that's what you get when juggling so many cameras. Maybe I should just pay attention. I accidentally opened up the back as I was trying to take the back off. Really, at the end of the day, that's actually a really poor design on Mamiya's part, having both of these right here. Mechanically, maybe it's hard to put it on the other side, but one side's one side's the other. I mean, hey, it doesn't matter anymore, they're dead. But, so I'm gonna have to stop shooting today, and take it out in a dark bag. Good thing David has a dark bag. And just basically try to save as many shots as I can. Because once you open up the back, it restarts the entire counter, and I can't just shoot willy-nilly. So, yeah, I desperately need a beer.
We got a winner.
Ow.
I know. Oh, it hurts. It hurts real bad.
It got in my nose.
It hurts real bad.
I forgot how much I do not like doing that.
Later that night, my punishment was to listen to my friends play a fun game while I had to shove my hands into the darkest part of the universe. At least I got to participate in the gang's tradition, watching the next part of Twilight and painting our nails. However, fear not. The next day would see some of my best 120 shots of this trip. Because as of now, every single one has kind of aesthetically been mid as hell. I must admit, this trip has been a little bit more wet and cloudy than we all expected. Forget kids.
Jason.
I'm sorry.
Now it's just looking at my wee-wee.
Want me to
Whatever.
hold it?
Don't forget, kids. Lick it and stick it. And again, I shot all these Phoenix 2 in medium format shots at ISO 160, even though it is a technical ISO of 200. I was leaning on my instincts from all the other times I've shot Phoenix in the past. But stumbling onto this old highway bridge was a total treat. All these Phoenix shots turned out so much better than expected. Now we have arrived at the portion of the video where all of my Phoenix 2 images have been slightly color corrected to my own taste. Now I won't go into a complete deep dive on how I get my Phoenix to look so amazing, because let's face it, I've definitely cracked the code. But here's a quick peek. In Negative Lab Pro, inside Lightroom, I correct the magenta cast out by selecting Auto Mix under the white balance. And then I add a little bit of yellow tint. Then I adjust the whites, lights, darks, and the other portions of the image to taste. But let me know if you'd actually like to see a full breakdown of my entire process on how I get Phoenix to look this way. Once I absolutely crushed those images, the crew decided to visit the coldest peak of Lake Louise. Here we need a little pick-me-up, so the espresso martinis would go a long way. And I also got this cute-ass picture of the gang. Damn, as cute as we are, maybe this film is not the best for portraits, unless they're experimental. As much as I can totally crush some awesome Phoenix 2 shots, these mountaintop shots are a good reminder that even Generation 2 underexposed is not exactly your friend. Maybe think of it as slide film. You really want to nail your exposure, and life will be just fine. One thing that was very helpful in creating a video like this, or more specifically planning a trip with all my friends, was Milanote, which is today's sponsor. If you don't know, Milanote is a tool for organizing your creative projects, and using an app like this specifically helps collect all of my thoughts and keep them all in one place. It's kind of like an open canvas, so if you're not quite sure where to begin, Milanote has a ton of templates built in to get you started. Which is actually what I did for this trip specifically. They have weekly planners, mood boards, vision boards, and the one that I use for travel plans. The first thing I did was share this board so that others could check it out and add their own information. This first column was great to keep all our information organized in one location. Another aspect of trips like this is creating a Google map where all the locations are that you want to see. So having quick access to that link is very handy. But the best feature in my opinion is Milanote's web clipper, which allows you to save websites directly to your board. This helped me keep all of my photography inspiration in one place. So for this northeast board, I was able to attach images and street views directly into the board. This is the first time I'd actually be using this feature on this trip, and oh my God, was it a game changer. Being able to directly see what our location looks like at a glance helped us know what we were getting ourselves into. Say we were running out of light and we needed to check our locations to see what might be the best one to go to next. So being able to see all the street views in one place was fantastic. And it's also active. The other thing is you don't have to use this for just trip planning. You can also use it for photo projects. I'm actually building one out right now, but I'm gonna have to show that to you all in due time. So if you think Milanote can help you with your next creative project, it's free with no time limit. So check out the link in the description below. Oh, holy moly pylons, Batman. That's one heap of halation happening right there. I mean, I don't dislike it, but it's a lot. Now heading back to the cabin, I decided to spend the rest of this roll on an exposure test. I decided to go 4 stops up and 4 stops down. We're here in this beautiful landscape, so I thought this would be a good place to do it, because why not? Cool. As you can expect, you will want to try not to underexpose, even with the extra detail that Phoenix 2 gives you. And when you go up the exposure ladder, you do start to introduce a magenta cast overall. At the end of the day, you can most certainly color correct that magenta out. However, shooting this film at base ISO of 200, you'll notice that the blue and the magenta cast that I was actually talking about earlier in the episode is actually kind of gone. So I think that was maybe due to me rating the film at ISO 160. But that's enough with the boring stuff. We've tested exposure, we've compared formats, but now it's time to do some crazy stuff. Boom. 1 minute. A little less than like 49 seconds on that zodiac sign. We'll see how Phoenix does with night photography. Overall, Phoenix didn't really do all that bad. Probably wouldn't be my go-to film stock for night photography, but at the end of the day, it can hang. And of course, the sun had to come out to play just as we were leaving Banff. We had to get a move on because we had a lot of ground to cover. My Mamiya lenses were aching for some abandoned buildings, and the open plains of Calgary would deliver. And just in time for some of my best 35mm shots of the trip. No cap. But before we left the mountains, we stopped off for some final sun around the Banff Mountains. And here, I finished up the rest of my 35mm roll in my Ricoh. This one of Birgit is classic film, baby. Honestly, it looks so dope. The lighting is great, and the clouds are fluffy. Phoenix is really just pucking 100 right now. Is pucking 100 like a hockey slang? Overall, just like Generation 1, in this point and shoot, these shots were quite awesome. Obviously, the grain is a little bit more pronounced, and it's not as sharp. But I wouldn't be afraid to put Phoenix in it again and let it rip and drip like some maple syrup. Oddly enough, this is the only direct comparison between 35mm and 120. And I really think the 35mm holds up. Obviously more grain, less resolution, but still great. At the end of the day, that's the power of some great glass. It's more important than the body, really. Now for some sexy barn action. Because really, this can't be a Phoenix review without it. even in Canada, you find abandoned things. Now, after driving to our last location of the evening, since we were still chasing a light, we stumbled upon this lovely, lovely scene. A lonesome homestead on the hill, and a light, baby, was hitting just right. So we had to get out and poke around.
Pretty cool.
This second shot of Phoenix is fire, baby. I love the colors, so painterly. I love the lighting. I love the warmth. This right here is the best shot in 35mm, in my opinion. This whole channel is my opinion, though. Now, with just a little bit of light left in the sky, we finally hit our evening's last location. Another treat on the road. And just like I said earlier in the episode, I shot this 35mm roll in my Mamiya at ISO 125. Knowing that Phoenix needs a bit more light overall, I knew that 35mm, with its inherent resolution loss compared to 120, would need a little bit extra light. So I think that 120 ISO helped. Beautiful colors, beautiful. That next day, the gang and I went hunting for some more barn bangers. And as you can see, Phoenix in 35 held up. The colors are quite nice, and the grain, while noticeable, adds texture to the image. And overall, I'm quite fond of it. Bow. But let's get back to those questions. Have you answered them for yourself yet? How does it look? How is it different? And how does it perform? I know my answer. This film is definitely Banff. Badass new film. Phoenix 2 is a great step forward for color film. And obviously, specifically Harman. It really is a better version with the same characteristics. Another thing that was in their documentation was that this generation of Phoenix 2 will take over production for the first batch. So when those red boxes are gone, blue babadita is all that's left. Personally, with Phoenix, I'd still shoot it like the original, around that ISO 125 or 160. But I'm sure as Phoenix keeps improving over the years, shooting it at 200 would totally be fine. Maybe meter for the shadows. And like I've said before, I'm 100% in on camera scanning for maximum flexibility. Or at least go with a lab that has a profile that equals out the tones a little bit. Harman will also have technical guides for those old ass machines on their website as well. You know, the Fujis and the Noritsus. I do still prefer 120 over 35mm because the grain is a little bit nicer and the latitude is greater. Same with the detail. I mean, just think of what 4x5 would look like. I want it. So what about you? Are you Team Generation 1 or does Phoenix 2 earn a spot in your camera bag? Drop your thoughts below. As always, I read them. Anyways, that'll do it for me and these Phoenix feathers. Okay, bye!